Welcome to the Writing Fiction Podcast. My name is James. This week, Regina is unable to join me, but I thought I would jump in and do a solo episode just so we still have an episode this week. And I'm going to talk about a free writing webinar that I did. It's an hour-long webinar. It's by Jericho writers who are based in the UK. I will put a link in the show notes if you want to go check it out. But I just thought I'd give you my feedback, whether you think you want to go check it out or not. Before that, there is a brand new issue of Worms Horror Zine. The link is in the show note. This is our Valentine's issue, which I'm really excited to share. It's got a lot of great new fiction, nonfiction, great artwork. Also, this is the first time we have poetry in Worms Horror Zine, so go check it out. Get it before it sells out. I have a new newsletter that went out this week, so you can find my newsletter in the show notes, as well as my Medium link where I do articles on writing. Check out YouTube for myself and Regina. We both have YouTube links in the show note. Our Instagram is at Bookworms Horror Zine. You can also pick up Regina's book, Carney, which I loved, and I think you will love it too. That's in the show notes. And if you really want to support us, please find how you can review this podcast. If you're in Apple Podcast or Spotify, however you listen, give us a review so we can reach more people. It's a great way to just say thank you for what we do, and we really would appreciate it. So let's jump in. This is a webinar on how to get a literary agent. And it is by Holly Seddons, I believe, is the author who goes through the keynote. But as I said earlier, it's a UK group called Jericho Writers. And right off the bat, they are trying to get you to sign up to their ultimate novel writing course. Most free webinars that they have online, they're doing this, and it's a great way to make money. It's give something out for free. And if they really like it, hey, go and buy our online course where you get all this extra stuff. And early on in my career, I went to some live event where they said that one of the best things you can do is give away relevant information for free. That is what people want. And if they really enjoyed what they got, there's a good chance they might spend money with you. And so that is what's happening here. Now, the ultimate writing course starts, I believe, $3,600, and it can go up to $5,000. It's a lot. And Friday, Apple Vision Pro just came out. That's $34.99. It's cheaper to get that than to take this course. So I really find it hard to justify the price for these courses. If my company would pay for this course, yeah, sure, I would do it. Maybe I'll look into that. Anyway, let me talk about what they talk about. So the first question that is in the keynote is, why should you get a literary agent? If you're self-publishing, this is probably not important to you. You write, you self-publish, you don't need an agent. But if you want to go the traditional route, that's what this is all about. And they talk about why you should. And it seems pretty obvious. It really comes down to relationships. And if you have an agent who has great relationships with publishers, then you're going to have a better time trying to get traditionally published. Now, the next couple things are pretty obvious to me, but you need a fresh idea, of course. I mean, I always hate when they put stuff in keynotes that's just obvious, but I guess the reason why they do this is because they do receive a lot of stuff and it's not fresh. So they're trying to say, look, really look into what you're doing. Is this a fresh idea? Because otherwise you're wasting your time and our time. And so if you're just doing another Twilight, then, unless it's a fresh take on Twilight, you might be wasting your time trying to get an agent. Know your audience. Now, this is important. You don't want just any agent. You want an agent who specializes in your genre. And if you don't know who your audience is, then you probably don't know who your genre is, or vice versa. You need to know your genre so you know your audience, so you can then find out which agent you want to go with. You don't want to go to a fantasy agent if you want horror and they're not asking for horror. And that comes up later. We'll get into that. The next point they go into is take the craft of writing seriously. This is another one I think that is obvious. I'm not sure why this needs to be stated. It could be they have an hour-long keynote and they need to fill the time, so they put these obvious things in. Also, let me pause for a second. It's not an hour long of information. It's 30 minutes, not even. Probably the first 5 minutes is them talking about the course they want you to buy. Then I'd say it's about 25 minutes of the keynote, and then 30 minutes of questions. Not even 30 minutes of questions. It's probably a good couple minutes of questions, and then questions related to the actual course they want you to buy. So that's what you're getting when you're doing this. So it's not like an hour of like, wow, just flooding you with information you really want. I did get a couple good things out of this, so I will bring those up when I get to it. No matter what, always take your writing seriously. And that means working hard, which they get into next, is write the best book that you can. So you're taking your work seriously. Now you need to write the best book you can. Don't submit something that's half-assed. You should know this already. You want to do your best work. You want to have it proofread. You want to have somebody look it over. You want to go back and rewrite and make it the best thing you can. But don't get to that. If you listen to a previous episode of Writing Fiction, don't get to the place where you're a perfectionist and you never get anything done. You need to finish and submit. This one I think is important. Hone your elevator pitch. So they talk about that. And I really think that's important because so many people come to me and tell me this story that they have in their head, and it's just a bunch of rambling scenes or characters they think are interesting. And it's like, there is no story. You're just telling me this happened and this happened. And it's like, what is this about? It's just a whole bunch of scenes that you think sound cool. So get your elevator pitch down. Because if you can't do that, you really probably don't know your story that well. You should be able to tell your story as if it was a blurb in like TV Guide, if anybody even remembers TV Guide. Because you don't have enough time to sit there and, if you meet an agent, to get them interested. So hone your elevator pitch. Next is very important. Get your submissions correct. This is something we've seen with Bookworms, where we have specific things we want you to do. So the most recent Bookworms, which is out, but we asked specifically for love horror, like related to love or relationships, anything like that. Don't send us something that doesn't have to do with that. We have a number of words we need. So you got to follow those guidelines to the letter. Don't think that they're going to think you're so brilliant. The minute they see that you didn't follow the guidelines, you're going in the trash. So follow those guidelines. Shortlist agents strategically. So find a list of agents that fit what you're writing. You don't need 100 of them. Get like maybe 10 that you think you want to submit to. Work on submitting to those 10 agents that fit what you're trying to write and follow those guidelines specifically. So you can hear more about that in this webinar. But that was something I was like, I think they suggested like 10 agents at a time submit to. Then they talk about what agents are looking for, and there's a bunch of stuff they get into there. How to spot a dodgy agent or a publisher. And you can listen to that. Now, here's where they go into the value of the course they're selling. They have relationships with agents. They know who they can trust. They know who would be a perfect fit for you. They know the guidelines. So what they're saying is they hold your hand and make sure you get your book completed and submitted and hopefully published. So then when they get into questions, there's a question that I thought a lot of people would be interested in. It says, someone heard that it's difficult to get an agent if you're writing a series. And their response, which I think is so great, is you don't go into them telling, hey, I got a series, because nobody knows how the first book's going to do or what the other books will be like. So if you're submitting to an agent and you think it's a good series and you know, oh, this would make a great series, don't tell them that. Say, this is a standalone novel with series potential. I'll say that again. Let them know that it is a standalone novel with series potential. That's all you have to say. Another question was, does the manuscript have to be completely finished before submitting to agents? The answer is yes. Now, a lot of people figure, because you only usually send like 3 chapters. But people think, well, I'll send the 3 chapters and they usually take forever to get back to me and I'll be finished by the time they get back to me. But it is possible they get back to you right away. And if you don't have that whole thing ready, you just screwed yourself. So have the complete finished manuscript written as best as you can, ready for when you send those submissions out. All right. So I'm going to put the link in the show note, as I said. And what you can do for me today is you can go buy the Bookworms issue that just came out. It is in the show notes. You can give us a 5-star rating on your podcast app of choice. And go check out the other show notes. Like I just put out a newsletter today. Go check it out. Go read it. It's a free newsletter. And that is how you can stay in touch with everything I'm up to. And I usually post whatever Regina is up to as well. But I hope you liked this little short thing. I want to make sure we don't miss a week, so that's why I'm doing this standalone episode. Regina and I will be back next week with the 4th rule of Robert Heinlein's Rules for Writing. So stay tuned and have a great week.